Welcome back. Well, Lebanon's protracted political crisis appears to go from bad to worse. The violent clashes that took place on Wednesday are symptomatic of the country's bitter divisions. On one side, the government is backed by the West and leading Arab powers. On the other, the Hezbollah-led opposition, which is supported by Iran and Syria. The government accuses Hezbollah of operating as a state within a state and threatening Lebanon's sovereignty. For its part, the opposition accuses the government of being stooges of the West. The opposition are demanding 1/3 of the seats in any power-sharing arrangement. The government refuses. Again, talks aimed at finding a new president are stalled as the two sides fail to agree on a common candidate. Joining us again are our guests on the line from Beirut, MOHSEN Saleh, also in Beirut, Nicholas No, and in Brussels, ANWAR MOHSEN. Mr. No, what is going to be done to resolve this problem? It's been postponed 18 times.
The presidential election you're referring to. Well, there are efforts, of course, underway, long-standing efforts by the Arab League, by Amr Moussa. There are, of course, various efforts, we believe, ongoing amongst different regional powers, including regional Arab powers directly, including Egypt, Saudi Arabia, as well as Iran, outside of that scope. So there are various efforts to try and get a dialogue going or to try and fashion a compromise. One of the opposition leaders, Nabi Bereh, the head of the parliament, has tried in recent days to convene a roundtable amongst the leading Lebanese parties to try and thrash out the issues. But you know, I think the general, well, I don't want to speak about a general consensus, but at least my take on the situation is that this may go on for quite some time. Again, we have elections, parliamentary elections that could be decisive if indeed they're even held next year. That could potentially shift the balance one way or the other. It's not exactly certain which way it would go, but there is the possibility, and this is being talked about as the kind of permanent, a kind of permanent muddling through, if you will, of presidential elections continually postponed. A lot of people in Lebanon, and indeed not just Lebanese, but regional players as well, are somehow waiting for the kind of whole deck to reshuffle, which involves Israel, involves Syria, Iraq, Iran. And this has been something that people have been waiting for months, if not years. You'll remember after the Moghnieh assassination in February, a leading Hezbollah member in Syria, it was predicted that Hezbollah would massively retaliate within a few days. Then they didn't, and they still haven't. So really, it's possible that we could muddle through on the presidential election thing without a compromise for quite some time.
Mr. WAZEN, don't you think the problem, though, once the president has been elected, is what happens afterwards?
Yeah, sure. What happens afterward? I think that as long as Hezbollah is insisting on keeping its arms, we're going nowhere in Lebanon. I think that's my own perception. You know, just a few days ago, we heard that they are again talking about whoever is going to touch our arms, we're going to cut his hand. So I don't know whether electing a president or not is going to take us anywhere.
Yeah, because the two sticking points for Hezbollah is keeping their arms, and also, Mr. Saleh, they want veto power. It doesn't look like they'll be given both.
Well, Hezbollah, as I mentioned, that never used its arms in the interior issues and political issues. And this is a consensual issue that this resistance liberated the Lebanese lands and also keeping these arms in order to liberate the Shebaa farmers and the Lebanese detainees and the Israeli prisoners. And Hezbollah is well known for his peaceful initiatives inside Lebanon, and also came to dialogue with all the Lebanese sects and Lebanese parties. And all the
okay, if it is committed to peace, then why the need to hold on to their weapons?
The weapons in order to protect Lebanon, and also we see many hundreds of Israeli.
But you have the army there to do that job.
these armies in order to protect Lebanon, and the Israelis are now afraid of attacking Lebanon because of these armies. Why would I drop an element of power to the country in order to appease the American politics in Lebanon or in the area?
Isn't rather a case of appeasing the Lebanese who are desperate for peace? I mean, Mr. No, do you agree with that theory?
Well, I mean, you've raised a whole series of issues. First of all, the Lebanese army is in no way equipped to provide a credible national defense for Lebanon. And indeed, this issue of how to credibly defend Lebanon, not just now, but well into the future, from a number of threats which are perceived, including most prominently from Israel, not just by Hezbollah, but by a number of other parties in this country, that was at the core of the roundtable discussion before the July 2006 war. So this is very much at the heart of what is being fought over and discussed right now. You have to be very careful when you say the Hezbollah opposition. The opposition is made up also of the most popular Christian leader in Lebanon, General Michel Aoun of the Free Patriotic Movement. You have an alliance between that party as well as Hezbollah and the other Shiite party Amal, as well as some smaller Sunni factions as well, who are arguing on a number of fronts that their vision for defending Lebanon, that their vision for economic reform, for political reform, is what needs to be followed. So we shouldn't just see this as a battle over the arms of Hezbollah. This indeed goes far deeper to how politics and power is going to be sorted out in these coming years and in these coming decades.
But Mr. WAZEN, as long as Hezbollah or any other armed groups continue to keep arms, you're going to have a state within a state in Lebanon. Yes,
of course. We have a state within a state since a long time inside Lebanon. Now the $64,000 question is, who's going to prevail at the end of the day? Which flag is going to prevail, Hezbollah's flag or the Lebanese flag?
Mr. Saleh.
Yes, always the Lebanese flag inside Hezbollah and other places in all Lebanon. And I don't think Hezbollah is an obstacle of the Lebanese state in the south or in the Bekaa. Everywhere you find the Lebanese army and the interior security groups in Lebanon and the courts. Everything is functioning in Lebanon in the areas where Hezbollah is really very strong.
Okay, very briefly, will Lebanon ever be able to claim its sovereignty?
Come on. Let's be fair with Hezbollah. Hezbollah never hindered any kinds of the Lebanese authorities, whether in the south or in other places. Why bringing this now? Because the Americans want this and the Israelis want this. Let this government be a Lebanese government and make a dialogue with all the parties and come to the dialogue which President Berry called for the Lebanese to come to a round table and have a dialogue and agree on a strategic defense for Lebanon in order to bring the resistance into this strategic defense plan. Why we are escaping the real issues, the substantial issues. We are escaping them in order to appease the Americans. This is not fair, neither for the Lebanese nor for this resistance who worked very hard 25 years in order to liberate the Lebanese lands. This is not fair, and these decisions, last decisions of the government, is insane and not.
Okay, let's leave it on that burning issue of Lebanon's sovereignty. Thank you very much for your comments and your insights. In Beirut, Mr. MOHSEN Saleh and Nicholas No, and in Brussels, ANWAR WAZEN. And of course, thank you for watching this edition of Inside Story. If you have anything to say about the program or suggestions, we certainly welcome those. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Goodbye for now.